All right, Nathan MacKinnon goes absolutely bonkers against the Ottawa Senators, and they needed him to. A come-from-behind victory yet again. The Avalanche beat Ottawa 6-4. So much to talk about with this one. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Make sure you follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And make sure you're following us over on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe and get notified when a new show goes live. And as well, make sure you're subscribed to our subtext. The link to that is in the show notes. Down below, when you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion on everything Avalanche, which we will share with the masses on this very podcast. All right, sir. Nathan MacKinnon. That's where we're going to start because dude went off 4 goals, 1 assist, a 5-point game. And he just continues his absolutely torrid pace that he is on right now. And you would have to think he has bumped himself up to the top of the Hart standings right now. And if he has another game on Saturday against Arizona, that's at least in this realm, he might have back-to-back number 1 stars of the week in the NHL. He's playing some of the best hockey I've ever seen this guy play. There's really this is like Cale Makar level where we're just kind of running out of things to say for him. He's on a roll. He's on an absolute roll right now, and nobody can stop him.
And that's the thing, and our everydayers know that our last episode, Vargar on subtext, he mentioned the Nathan MacKinnon Hart conversation. Efforts like the Chicago game are not where that conversation is bolstered. But then the Ottawa game happened. And you want to see games like that from Nathan MacKinnon. And he's at this point where we could have full segments on the point streak. And the second segment, 300. Yeah. That was his 300th goal. Yeah. So Nathan MacKinnon he's on a completely different level. I don't know if this has anything to do with the taser comments on also firing up the team or what's going on, but Nathan MacKinnon, the league better watch out because this is not just angry Nathan MacKinnon. This is confident, angry Nathan MacKinnon. And that's a whole different form of like transformer that we're not used to. Like this is, it's scary, but it's so good that he's a member of the Avalanche. And like you mentioned, he has the 1 assist. He's still facilitating and he's still driving. And you love to see that too.
Yeah. I mean, everything was top line tonight in terms of scoring. We'll get to all that in a minute, but never been done before in an Avalanche uniform, 4 goals. It's happened a couple times in a Nordiques uniform, but of all the scorers that the Avalanche have had in their history, the 2 that just jump out to you, Peter Forsberg and Joe Sakic, it never happened in an Avalanche uniform. A little surprising there that you know what I mean, but okay. So we witnessed history.
Give that to him too.
Yeah. So the when you look at the stats, I won't go into all the stats right now. But the one thing that we are going to talk about is the power play. Man, when you go 4 for 5 on the power play, good things happen. So that has turned around. You like to see that. Overall, I guess take just a bird's eye view from this game because the Avs were down, right? They were up and then they were down and then they were down multiple goals and they could have been down even more. It could have been a 5-2 game because there was another power play that Ottawa had. The Avs, give them credit on special teams, both ends. They were great. 4 for 5 on their power plays. Ottawa was only 1 for 6. Now, it's not good that you gave Ottawa 6 power plays to work with, but you shut them down, save for 1. So this was a game where the Avs were I thought they were playing fine. Another very good first period, and then things, just like that, and some luck on the side of Ottawa with it was either the second, I think it was the second goal, where it just kind of like popped up in the air, and then it's just right in front of who scored that second Ottawa goal. I don't have the score sheet in front of me. It's whoever it was is just right there, and it just basically falls in his lap, and he just puts it home. So it's stuff like that.
That'd be Greg.
Really Greg. Yes, it was really. Yep. So you're kind of watching this like, man, like can anything go the way of the Avs? And then all of that stuff for Ottawa, it's like they just left too much time for Colorado to just climb back into this thing, and you needed, the scoring to arrive, which it did, and you needed Georgiev to really just step it up, which he did. I know it looks ugly having 4 goals on the board for the opponent, but you kind of have to look at them individually. One, he definitely wants back. I think it was the Batherson one that he definitely wants that one back. But the other ones, like, were not completely his fault. And he made some huge saves throughout the rest of this game to keep the score where it was and let the Avalanche go to work.
I think in that second period of this game, I think you saw the Avalanche grow as a team. We talked about this coming off the Chicago game, that it's a bunch of individuals and they have not had a team effort. After the Avalanche, it was a pretty good first. I'm not gonna lie, that looked pretty all right. And then the tide started shifting. And then you kept sending Ottawa to the penalty, like the power play, and you're just giving away penalties. And then for a stretch, Georgiev did not look the greatest. There was a stretch where earlier in that game where the goals were they were kind of hideous, and you felt like nothing was going to stop this momentum. The Avs were down 2 goals. It was just, you're going into the third down 4-3. And that whole team, it clicked. You could see it. The momentum, like the defense started clicking. Georgiev started making really good saves, and the forwards started really pushing. And that effort towards the end, it felt like old Colorado Avalanche hockey that we got to be accustomed to early in the year and last year. I feel like they all bonded in that third period. And how we mentioned, you're not going to see another game and output like you did in that Chicago game. I think this is also going to be another turning point where you could point back to this Ottawa game when the Avalanche learned to play together.
Well, this was a different game because I thought this was more of an open game than I've seen in a long time. There was a lot of back and forth, and I'm not saying the Senators are a poor defensive team. It kind of looked like it in spots, and you gave up 6 goals, so maybe they were poor in the third. But there was a lot of back and forth and some open ice in this game. And while that, I don't want to say it favors one team or another, because Ottawa is a very good offensive team. But that definitely plays into the Avalanche hands. How can they not want a game where it's just wide open ice and we can make passes and we can see where our teammates are and they're not just right on us? And it was more of that open style of game that, man, when you play that game against the Avalanche, you're playing with fire, because look what they can do. And look at what one guy can do on you. And, you're not giving him as much space as you're giving the other guys on the Avs. But I noticed that it was just a lot of back and forth, and it bit the Avs a couple times. Getting back to Georgiev, the first goal, I think that was I think that was their one power play goal. I think the first goal was their first power. Let me see if it was. Come on, NHL Network, you got to do better with this website. My God. Yeah, I let's see. They had power play goal. Norris was the power play goal. Georgiev, I thought he was slow to react to it because it was a pass that went like kind of just from one wing to the other. And I thought he was not only slow to react to it, but it seemed like he didn't get a good push. It's almost like he slipped a little bit to push from right to left. And it was really like a wide open goal. So that one didn't look good. And then they follow that up on with the one that just pops in the air and lands right next to him and he puts it home. And then you just felt like the Avs once again had to battle for everything, while Ottawa was once again that team that's capitalizing on either mistakes that the Avalanche were making or just good puck luck that and it was going in that direction. And then you're right, like things just the tide started shifting, and I think it was just because the Avs were like, "Look, we have so much time in this game. We had a good first. Let's just do what they say this all the time. Can't get out of our system. Play our system." And when you have that much time left and things were going okay, and Ottawa's really giving you space, you can mount a comeback. That's exactly what they did.
And there were a lot of times that Ottawa, they held the Avalanche out there for long shifts. The Avalanche just couldn't sustain anything late in that first and early in the second period. They were holding, like Nuke was logging 2-minute shifts, and it was hard for the Avalanche to make anything happen. And it was one of those, the Avalanche had to stick to their game plan. Ottawa was pushing, and they just kind of played the full 60 and let Ottawa push past them. And they started making their breaks the other way. And I believe that was the moment where the momentum shifted.
Yeah. All right. More to get to with this game. And then a little bit later on, we obviously have our sound check to get to. And our subtext crew is definitely weighing in on this one. So we'll get to all that coming up next. First, we're going to hear from Sleeper. And I'm wondering, Kyle, have we found a better daily fantasy sports app than Sleeper yet? You're looking around.
I have not.
Can't find one. Nope. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And this is where I ask you, sir, who are you picking for the Avalanche in their next matchup for daily fantasy hockey, which is against the Arizona Coyotes?
Let's go Cale Makar. It's nice to see you back.
Once again, I mean, you can't go wrong with Cale. Ride MacKinnon. Ride the hot hand. Ride Nathan MacKinnon. So all you have to do is pick whether studs like Nathan MacKinnon or Cale Makar will record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. So use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Once again, that code is LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right. Speaking of Cale Makar, kind of like, I don't want to say he had like a quiet game, but he quietly had 2 assists in this game, and it's his first game back. So I think, I think Makar's at the point where it's like he's not going to be 100% for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And really nobody is, right? I think that's that sports analogy, like after the first game of the year, nobody's 100%. And I think there's some truth to that. But I really think Cale Makar is going to be battling whatever he's battling the rest of the year. So they put him in this game, and I thought he looked fine. He wasn't, that I didn't feel like he was that like dynamic skater that we're used to, but I think he was fine. And he still found a way to get 2 assists in this game.
Yeah, it was probably one of the rougher starts for Cale to really, I would say rough, not in production, but it's just rusty. It took him a while to get up to speed. The first and second period, it was of course, he took the spot of first number you see in a goal against replay, and you're kind of rolling your eyes like, oh, come on, Cale. And then
Mhm.
he cleaned it up and he looked really good towards the end. So I would like to
Yeah,
see him build on that for the Arizona game. But no, it's always great to have Cale Makar back, even at
absolutely.
80%.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you see the difference. You
Hmm.
see it, and and the power play is, it does what it does, and he comes back. I don't think it's that much of a coincidence that it's improved when he's there. Clearly, um, our good friends over at Locked On Senators are probably none too happy today that once again a questionable call did not go their way. And I kind of have to agree with him here. Nathan MacKinnon's third goal, his hat trick goal, was reviewed for offsides, and it was Val Nichushkin who was coming up the right hand side. Dude was offsides.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say it now. He was offside, and you didn't see, at least on the altitude broadcast, they didn't they didn't show a view. They had a bird's eye view, but they showed that like right towards the end of when the refs had made their decision. The other two that they showed, you really couldn't see. It was difficult on the because where the puck came in all the way on the left hand side, and Nichushkin entered the zone all the way on the right hand side, and there's a lot of traffic there. So those two camera angles blocked everything. Whether it was on the puck entry side, you couldn't see Nichushkin on the other end, or whether it was on the Nichushkin side, you couldn't really see where the puck was. But they showed a bird's eye view right at the end, and you could hear Mosier and Riker not really want to. They didn't want to like will
Yeah.
it into existence, so they kind of avoided it, and you could tell that they were like, oh man, maybe we shouldn't have shown that one because it looked offsides. And he was by the slimmest of margins. And I know there's going to be some people that are like, well, that view is at an angle. There is some truth to that, I guess. But if we had a little bit longer to really dissect that view, or maybe there's another one that we haven't seen yet, I think the Avs lucked out with that one, if you ask me. But
I
hey,
do too. I was just as surprised when they said that's a good goal. I was like, well, fine.
yeah,
We'll deal with this one. I hope this isn't integral to the rest of the game. Ended up being that way, but
yeah,
sorry, Locked On Senators. We'll
I
have a
know.
clean game eventually.
I know they're still bitter, and I get it about the puck that was covered up and covered up for a solid 5 seconds, and the whistle was not blown, and Avs pounced and scored a goal on it. Um, so yeah, I guess we owe them two now. Sorry, guys. I mean, I don't mean to laugh about it because I'm sure they're kind of bitter, but you know
We'll
what I
we'll
was
make
thinking? I
we'll
was
make it up
thinking
somehow.
Well, you know what? Like everybody always has that like after a game like this was a fun game to watch. I think from a coaching perspective, you don't like these games. There's too many penalties. It's too much back and forth. It's high. Coaches don't like high scoring games. That means your defense really is not doing the best. Maybe your goalie's not doing the best. But I kind of walked out of this game. You know how people kind of say like, "Oh, that would be a fun 7 game series." I kind of feel that
Mm,
way if it was like Avs and Senators. I know they're kind of teams that are kind of in opposite ends of the spectrum right now in terms of standings, but that would be a fun 7 games if they played like that. Clean up the penalties a little bit. I don't want to see that many penalties in a game, but teams that can score, have, good offensive abilities, lots of back and forth, some bitterness there. There's some chippiness going on there, but nothing that went overboard. I'd be down for that. I'd be down for a 7 game series with this. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, it would have to be in the cup finals, so they would be completely happy with that. But
and both teams with Matt Duchene history.
oh man, you know what? Didn't even think about that. Didn't
It's
even
all
think
I
about
think about, Chris.
that. Haunt your nightmares. Uh,
5
yeah.
degrees
So
of Matt Duchene.
I know, I know. All right. Looking at the stats here, Nichushkin with 3 assists. See, everything's getting buried by
Mhm.
Nathan MacKinnon's 5 point game. Nichushkin with 3 assists on the night. Drew Wren with another assist. There you go, man. Like he just continues to putz along here. So he's just slowly coming out of this thing. There's MacKinnon with the 4 goals and 1 assist. Mikko Rantanen, 2 goals for him, and a massive one at the end of the second there when he cut it to 4-3. That was huge. Absolutely huge. You go in 4-2, takes on a completely different tone than it would, or than it did when he made it 4-2. Defensive end, Taves with an assist, Cale Makar with 2 assists. Where is my good friend Ryan Johansson? Okay, 53% on faceoffs for him and some massive wins that he had to have on Senator power plays. And he's not out there for penalty kill. So this was like 3-on-3 overtime where you have a good guy go out there, win the draw, and then immediately get off. They were doing that on the penalty kill with him because they were important. They were really important at that stage of the game.
And Ross Colton also taking 2C for a little while. That was also interesting during this game. There was a little bit of a shift there, and the Avalanche ended up winning the faceoff numbers throughout the night. But I didn't mind that little adjustment. Although Ryan Johansson, say what you will, he is our best faceoff guy, and for moments like that, this is where he comes in clutch.
You had a big discrepancy in time on ice again. More so, Donna Chuskin, 29 minutes and 5 seconds. MacKinnon only had, and a big reason for that is Donna Chuskin plays a penalty kill, right? So when you have that many penalties against the Avs, he's going to be out there a lot more. And that's why there's a big discrepancy between him and Nathan MacKinnon, who hit almost 23 minutes, and same thing with Mikko Rantanen. So those guys are playing more minutes. Same with Cale Makar, 28 minutes, 26 seconds. He plays penalty kill. So those guys are getting like taxed a little bit more. And do you want Cale Makar, who's just coming back from an injury, to be doing that? I mean, coaching staff knows. They're going to take the reins on that. If he's okay, they're going to put him out there, obviously.
28 minutes is a night off for Cale.
Yeah, by like 30 seconds. He got a 30-second rest today. Wow. So they will do that though. They're, if you're coming back to play and you're capable to play, you're in there.
Yep.
They're gloves are off. You're going to play. A guy who might be coming back to play pretty soon. We're going to discuss that. Keep you hanging on the internet to keep you hanging. If you follow the Avalanche, you know exactly who it is. But we'll talk about that. And then, like I said, our sound check and our subtext people. We'll get to that next. Right now, we're going to hear from eBay, eBay Motors. That's passion, drive, and patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle leveled up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, is that not the Nathan MacKinnon trilogy today? My God.
Yeah.
Yeah. eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP or the Hart Trophy and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. So before we get to that stuff, real quickly, morning skate, Sammy Girard was out there, and it was just good to see the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he was in full practice gear. It was not known immediately if he was going to play after the morning skate. Jared Bednar met the media and said, no, he's not going to play tonight, last night. And we're treating it like somebody coming back from an injury. Get him some skating in, get some, build up your stamina a little bit. And, we'll get you back out on the ice when we feel that you're ready. Will that be Saturday against Arizona? Don't know. If it's not, you would have to feel that, okay, now they're on their Christmas break. the game right after the Christmas break, which happens to be Arizona again, he'd be ready for that. So it's either Saturday or right after Christmas. Either way, it's good that you see Sammy G back on the ice, almost ready to go.
Not only to see Sammy G back, but the fanfare that he is back. That just warms my heart to see so many people excited to see him back.
I know. You because he takes a lot of heat, So and hopefully for some of those people that are really like hard on him, maybe they take a step back and kind of appreciate or acknowledge that he's human and he goes through some stuff and maybe not be so rough on the guy. I mean, if anybody makes a stupid play on the ice, call it out, but maybe tone down the rhetoric a little bit. So, but we'll keep an eye on that. Either way, it's glad that he's just back around with the team. All right, let's jump over to subtext and see what some of our people over there have to say about this one. Here's Vargar. They gutted it out. I expected a better start, and I hate to give up 4 goals, but at least they righted the ship for a comeback. Mac did his job tonight. Mac, what? That's a Burger King thing. Mac tonight, wasn't that? Or no, that was McDonald's.
That's McDonald's, yeah.
Mac tonight. Remember Mac tonight? Wow. All right.
The moon guy.
Yeah. Mac did his job tonight and was the best player on the ice. If he only showed a half of what he had tonight against Chicago, it would have been a 3-game win streak. Georgiev looked solid in the third, but didn't start well. Good to see Makar back and great to see Sammy G skate, like we were just saying. Kyle, not you, says MacKinnon is a man possessed in a good way, obviously.
Yeah, the good devil.
The Rantanen shook off some rust. Unfortunately, the team as a whole still needs to perform better, but a step in the right direction. Too many individual efforts and breakdowns, especially in the defensive end. Yeah, I mean, it kind of going through that a little bit, maybe more quickly than we wanted to, but this was not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. I think we feel good that the Avalanche won, but no, like there's still some problems, but it seemed like they corrected those problems in game and they didn't last for the duration of the game. And then once they got down, not that they would throw in the towel, the team's really not built that way, but the dam didn't just continue to break. It's like they stopped the leaking and they just got back to work. Mikko again, though, with a pretty good look, even though he had 2 goals, he could have had a hat trick himself. He had a good look and just sailed it wide. I don't know what's going on with Mikko and his shot right now, but it's, he's still scoring. He's still doing okay.
It's improving. It improved over the game.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he gets that one at the end of the second and you're like, yeah, that's a Mikko shot.
Yeah.
That's a Mikko shot. This is from Keegan. MacKinnon, Georgie, power play, top line. All 4 lived up to the Avalanche name. After a rough start and a few fluky goals, I was ready to turn it off for the night because I thought it was going to be one of those unbearable losses. But instead, this team rallied around each other. Stellar performances. If the Avs can continue to rally around smart playmaking, they will start to bag 2 points every night. I've always said this, don't turn off Avalanche games.
Nope.
Don't ever do it, especially this team. I know, you might feel like, oh, it's insurmountable. They're not playing well. This team can turn things around in a New York minute. So, and we'll do, I think we got one more here. Madam Battle Axe. She had to check her blood pressure twice. So let's see. It could have been much worse for Ottawa. We had too many must-have moments in the game. I know MacKinnon got the star, but Georgiev should have gotten one or should have gotten it. He made some game, like as in one of the stars, and he didn't. But she's right. Like he was a big piece of this win. Big piece. He made some game stopping saves. Yeah. Oh, and we had someone that went to the game. He sent images of the game. That was Easton. Easton was at the game.
It was his first game at ball.
Yeah, and he said, I lost my brand new hat. Which begs the question, sir. You're at a game, you got your hat on. A hat trick is achieved. Are you a thrower? Are you throwing that hat on the ice? If you can reach the ice, if you're from the upper deck, I mean, you could have it rain down to the bottom level and they could take care of it. But I feel that loses its appeal. Like if I'm throwing my hat out there, I want to be the one to throw it out on the ice, not somebody else. But regardless of that, even if you're in position to throw your hat on the ice to celebrate a hat trick, do you do that?
That's why you don't take your good hat to the game.
But I'm never thinking that. And I've never been in the audience when a hat trick is scored. Never. But I don't go to a game thinking like I should bring a second hat with me or bring a hat that I don't care about, which I love all my hats. I don't have a garbage hat. I don't know, man.
See, I'm completely opposite. I think about that every time I go to the game, whether it's NHL level or even back when I used to go to my local Birmingham Bulls. Every time I'd put the hat on, I'm like, is this worth throwing on the ice just in case? Because you don't want to be that guy who sits there with your arms crossed and not saying, I'm not throwing my hat, and everybody's looking at you in your section.
I would totally be that guy. What I would do is take my hat off and kind of just hide it.
Yeah, that's a great move.
Put it in, under my arms or something like that. Because one, I don't want to be looked at as the guy who's not doing it. And two, if I'm wearing it, I don't want someone to come up from behind me and rip it off my head, and they're the ones that throw it out there. And then we're gonna have a little to do in the stands, and that I don't want that either. So
the hockey gods hate the Avalanche enough. We need to do everything we can.
I should start. I think, and I don't really wear a hat to the game that much. But if I thought of it beforehand, I've never just thought of it. I would probably bring 2 hats, or just go buy one before the game. That was like 10. The guys that sell stuff outside the stadium for like 10 bucks or something.
Yeah, that's what you gotta
do. Yeah, but I don't know. I bought these things. I want to keep them. But you're celebrating a moment too, so it's I'm torn. I don't know what to do.
Like I wear a hat 90% of the time because I'm going embarrassingly gray headed. So like I think about this every time I walk out the door. Like, do I have to throw this on the ice?
Yeah.
And if so, if it's a good hat, if you just bought it at the arena, keep it in the bag.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to hear what people think about that. I think most people would say they're throwing it. But if it's a hat you've had forever, my one buddy has had the same hat for like 20 years. He's not throwing that on the ice.
Yeah.
All right. What are you people? Are you throwers, or you spent that money and you're keeping that hat? Let's hear it.
Do you throw? Do you sew?
All right, that's going to wrap it up for today and for this week. And we're taking a few days off, everybody, because Christmas is here. So we probably will not have episodes Monday or Tuesday. So, we'll be back midweek next week. Until then, everybody who celebrates, have a wonderful and safe and happy Christmas day and Christmas weekend, however you spend it. But thank you for spending it with us as well. Always appreciate that you make us your first listen of the day. So that's going to wrap it up for Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, and myself, Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys next week.